Hello, YouTube friends and family. How's everybody tonight? I am Texas Beach Mom or Mama Robin, whichever you prefer, and I hope you're doing well, as am I. The only thing going on here is there is a kind of a nasty storm going on. Lights flicker on and off occasionally, so if you catch me being distracted, it's the storm. Anyhow, I want to get this done. So, for anybody that watches me on a regular basis, you all know that I've been covering these mysterious drownings at Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. And there's been another body. Now, as of yet, they've not released anything about it other than it's male. So let's go over the things that we do know. Okay. Over the last 2.5 to 3 years, there have been 25 to 30 accidental drownings in Lady Bird Lake. About 95% of those have been men. About 90% of them have been in the age group between 25 and 35, and they all have been reasonably fit, strong, muscular, healthy. They look like they would be capable men of capable men and could defend themselves, but apparently cannot from whatever's happening. Now, out of all these accidental drownings, 2 have been ruled as suicide. One was a woman, and the other one was a man. But this is what we know about that man. If you remember right, this is the man I told you about, that his feet were bound together at the ankles with tape. His hands were bound behind his back with tape, and his mouth was taped shut. And they called that a suicide. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck he did it. Like, did he, after he first, how did he bound himself with tape completely? Then did he hop into the water? I mean, he would have had to be sitting on the bank and then make his way or roll into the water. I mean, shit, I don't know. I don't know of any family that was presented, well, with your husband, your son, your boyfriend, your father, whatever, killed himself. Well, what happened? Well, we found him bound with tape. There was tape around his ankles, tape around his wrists, mouth was taped shut, but it was suicide. So, sounds like a cover-up to me. But anyway, like I said, there's been a recent body pulled. It was pulled 1 week ago today, and as of 15 minutes ago, they hadn't identified anything about it other than the fact that it's male. Okay. And as I just said, there's been a lot of men. 95% of these accidental drownings have been male. They're going to say this is an accidental drowning. They're not going to have anything to verify it. They're not going to investigate it. It's going to go, I'm taken care of. And over the year or so that we've talked about this, we've discussed theories. Because for starters, it's happening in a college town. It's happening at Lady Bird Lake, or the bodies are being found at Lady Bird Lake, which is off a trail that people commonly use, which is a few blocks from Rainy Street, which is the main drag where all these little college bars are at. Party bars, college bars, whatever. So we've talked about the possibility it could be a bartender, it could be a bouncer, it could be an Uber driver, it could be a cab driver, it could be because there's always numerous food trucks. If you're partying in Austin, there's going to be numerous food, and I'm sure other cities as well, but there's going to be numerous food trucks, okay? We talked about the fact it could be somebody in charge of those food trucks. It could almost be anybody, or it could be a whole group of people. Because we've watched a few videos of people, family members saying, my son or my brother or my whatever wasn't even drinking that night, but he was found dead and it was intoxicated and accidental drowning. Bullshit. So, like I said, there's been another body, and it is male. It's been picked up last Saturday. But I've had another theory I'm working on. Like I said, a lot of these are happening in the Not in the summer months when you would think most of the partying would be at. They've been happening in the colder months. And I don't want to hear this shit about they went swimming, because it's been like January, November, December, and January. Whereas the weather in this part of Texas is not that cold. It gets down in the 50s. So the water's colder than that. There's no way these people are going, hey, let's go for a swim at midnight, you know? But whatever. Are maybe a few of them getting drunk and staggering down the trail, or staggering away from the bar, down the trail, and into the lake? Maybe, but I still see that as highly unlikely. But I have noticed that, for the most part, they tend to happen in November, December, and January. We've had a few stragglers that's happened in February or March, and we've even had a few happen in September or October. But then I thought of another possible theory, because we've talked about the bars, we've talked about the trucks, the food trucks, we've talked about the cabbies, the Lyft drivers, the Uber drivers, the bartenders, the bouncers, all this. There's one more we haven't talked about. And it crossed my mind last night. At Lady Bird Lake, there's a hiking, biking, walking trail. A lot of people use it during the daytime. It's probably perfectly fine to use during the daytime. Most people wouldn't use it at night. And I'm sure there's couples that sneak down there and go have a little fun in the woods, and that's whatever. These aren't couples being found. These are men. But they are typically found in like November, December, and January. A few in February, March, and a few in September. But the majority have been in the colder months. But with yesterday being Halloween, it crossed my mind. So at Lady Bird Lake, there is a hiking, biking trail, as I just said. But there's also Lady Bird Lake Wildlife Center. Yeah. The Wildlife Center every year puts on a Halloween thing. And it's an outside Halloween festival. And they've got the trail, the Lady Bird Lake Trail, lit up with lights. And there's people in costumes. And this year's theme was Night Before Christmas. So there's all kinds of people on that trail at night. There's people on the trail at night, and there's people working that trail at night. So if it's and these places, this trail is open for Halloween from like mid-September till Halloween. So there's like 6 weeks of this trail. And there was one body that came up in September, and one body that's already come up in October. And I will bet you between now and the first year, there'll be at least one more, maybe two more. And about 2 or 3 miles from Lady Bird Lake is another area called McKinney Roughs. And it's also got a Halloween festival trail thing. I think it's called like Trail and Treat or something like that. And there's face painting and stuff. But my point is, they're fairly close to each other. So now I'm also starting to wonder if it's somebody working the Halloween things. I don't know. But I think it's worth a thought. I absolutely believe it's worth a thought. I believe with all my heart that this is worth a thought. That they've got all this trail lit up and they got all these people on this trail at night. What if somebody decided to go through it later, thinking it would be open? But it's not. So they end up being the only one out there, and they get out there and they realize, oh shit, it's closed. They go to leave. They don't get out of there. Because while it was closed, maybe the person or persons, if somebody is doing this, maybe the person or persons just happened to be out there and seen that straggler and went, a victim. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's a good working theory. I do. I think it's a very good working theory. So, it might be. Might be something we need to start looking into. So now we've got the possibility of it being bartenders, bouncers, food trucks, Ubers, Lyfts, taxi cabs, Halloween trails. Not too far fetched if you think about it. If this is open from September, from like mid-September to the end of October, okay, and was always one in September and one in October. That's two already. Those were open at that time. There's more stuff that happens through November and December, which would explain bodies popping up in November, December, and January because of New Year's Eve. There's been an occasional one in the summer months, and we do have a lot of outside music festivals here during the summer months. This could be a group. They might be hitting at the festivals, the outside Halloween stuff, the party bars the college kids are going to. This could be a network. If in fact there is a serial killer or killers attacking these men, this could be a whole network. This could be a whole fucking network of people doing this. And yet Austin will not tell you that anything looks suspicious. They will tell you that nope, none of it's suspicious, none of it looks suspicious, none of it, they're not related to each other in any way, shape, or form. Then it's all happened to be men. And there's 25 to 30 of them that died. And that's 2.5, 3 years. Nothing suspicious about that at all. Perfectly fucking normal. So yeah, these Halloween festivals might be when this shit's starting. Because let's say, let's take this. Let's take this and roll with it for a minute. Let's say for a minute that somebody got taken from the Halloween festival. They were killed. Maybe their body wasn't dumped in Lady Bird Lake right away. Maybe they had it a few days later. Maybe it was dumped fairly early, but it wasn't found for days. It was just floating downstream or whatever until somebody spotted it. Well, there's something going on in Austin, Texas. There really is. And I've talked about it at other lakes and other cities and other states. It's almost like a network. Something fishy's going on at the lake. That's all I have because right now they haven't released any information on. We just know that it's a male. I'm almost willing to bet he's 25 to 35 years old. And that he is physically fit. And that he is either Hispanic or has darker features and could look Hispanic. Because I don't think this killer is specifically calling out to people going, hey, are you a Hispanic man? Yeah. All right, get in the car. They're looking at people and they're going, oh, look at him. Like if they're targeting Hispanic men, they're looking at him going, oh, he looks Hispanic. They're not going to ask him, dude, are you Hispanic? Yeah, well, get in our car. No, they're not going to ask him. They're going to look him up and down. They're going to look at the dark hair, the dark eyes, the skin tones, and think, we got ourselves another one. We've seen the videos. We've seen the family members talking about it. We've seen people say, my brother only had one drink that night. He went in, he had one drink, he came out, and he was staggering. One drink ain't enough to make most people stagger. And usually if it's a beer or a glass of wine or something. Now, if it was a mixed drink and they've never had a drink before in their life, maybe. But typically, no. Not a young man in his mid-20s that's physically fit, active, college student type that goes out partying with his friends on a regular basis. We've seen various videos. I have showed you guys the videos. There's something fishy going on at Lady Bird Lake, and I think we're about to have a slew of them. So let's buckle down, put on our thinking caps, and see if we can figure this shit out, because I don't know about anyone else, and I'm sure most of Austin stands behind me on this one. I'm damn tired of it, and I want it stopped. So let's buckle down and put on our thinking caps. This Halloween thing might be where it starts. I don't know. I'm not trying to put fear to anybody, and I'm not trying to make people afraid to do things. But if you're not from around here, or even if you are, I wouldn't be out here partying after 8, 9 o'clock at night in downtown Austin, anywhere near Lady Bird Lake, Congress Avenue, Congress Bridge, any of that, McKinney Ruffs, none of it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm sorry. Um, there are people that are calling whatever's going on, thinking it's a serial killer, and they're referring to it as a Rainy Street Ripper. It's already got a nickname. It's had a nickname for a while. So yeah, let's buckle down. Let's get this taken care of. We can do this. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. I know it's a short video, but I'm gonna wrap it up. I love you guys. Happy birthday. If it's your birthday, you got one coming up. In case I miss it, happy birthday, happy anniversary. I want everybody to be good, be safe. There's crazy people out there, and it's getting crazier. So anyway, I love y'all, and I want y'all to take care.